Why is that we lose value of what we have? But even the world recognizes what is value. Because the world said to themselves, if someone enlists themselves, that means they're putting up their life at risk. And because they're putting up their life at risk, they need to get benefits. Because now they are enlisted in warfare. That everything is coming against them and their household because what they represent. In other words, can't really pay for this. Paul says, he says, what then is my reward? He said, first of all, I'm not exercising my ability for you to bless me because it's in the word. I'm not even exercising that, he says. I did it for free for so long that I didn't exercise it. And then he says in verse 18, what then is my reward? That in my preaching I may present the gospel free of charge. Paul said, wait a minute. Now I'm presenting the gospel free of charge. He's losing to win again. Well, Pastor, why would God have people to lose and to win again? That's the big question. Paul is making it plain, wait a minute, I deserve to be paid. It's in the law. I'm not breaking no law. I've been doing it for a while, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about yourself. And then he says to him, I choose to do it because why? It's the will of God for me to do it. And I got to do it because not because I want to do it, because I have no choice but to do it. And then Paul says, he said, what is then my reward? And then he says in verse 19, underline verse 19, because this is the key verse. He says, for though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. I made myself a servant to all. Wait a minute. I made myself to lose but to win. He says, wait a minute. He said, for though I made myself a servant for all, that I might win more of them. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I lose with them so I can win for them. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Paul. Wait a minute, Paul. Wait a minute. Let me say it slow and first, real slow. For though I'm free from all, I've made myself a servant to all. I served all of them. I did what was spiritual for all of them. He says that I made myself servant to all, that I may win more of them. Yeah, that I may win more of them. That I may win more of them. That I may win more. Paul ain't in this for himself. Paul is in it to win others. Paul don't got an agenda why he does what he does. He's got the mentality to lose and to win. He know what it is to look. He said, wait a minute. I ain't doing this for them. I'm picked out by God to feel like I'm in a losing battle. Because my feeling does not portray my winning. Because what I feel in my emotions, Paul is saying, sometimes I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Sometimes I feel like, he said, wait a minute. But I have a purpose. He says, this will knock me off my socks. He says, I had to become them to be them, to win them. Here he goes. He said, so what are you saying, Pastor? He made himself a servant for all to win them all. In other words, so he can share their blessing with them. So Paul said, that knocked me out of my socks is verse 20. To the Jews, I became a Jew. In other words, God began to deal with me. He said, in order to win the Jews, I had to become like the Jews to win the Jews. Even though I may not like the Jews. But I had to become the Jews to win the Jews. Number 2. To those that are under the law, that I became as one under the law. Thought not being myself under the law, that I may win those under the law. Then he said, to those who are outside of the law, I became as one outside of the law. Not being outside of the law of God, but under the law of Christ. Then he said, that I may win those outside of the law. He said, to the weak, I became weak, that I might win the weak. I became all things to all people, that by all means I might save some. He said in verse 23, I do it all for the sake of the gospel, that I may share with them his blessing. Oh, and the Lord began to bring this alive. He said, Pastor, some things that people go through, you had to go through it. You had to become it. You had to become it to win it. There's some struggles and there's some trials. Paul said, I had to become like the Jew to be able to win the Jew. I had to become weak to be able to win the weak. There's some suffering that God placed in your life because he's using it. It seems like you're losing, but in the long run, you're going to win. God got purpose. Well, you had to go through that. Yes, because you have to become that. You can't tell nobody about drugs until you've been on drugs. You can't tell nobody about abandonment until you've been abandoned. You can't tell nobody about ridicule until you've been ridiculed. You can't tell nobody about anything until you experience it. Paul had to go through the process of his life, that he had to experience certain things to become it, to win it. Listen, oh my God. I'm going to give you a little testimony. God just confirmed with me with Malachi in the back. There was a lot going on in the back of the church. Malachi was in the back having a breakdown. I had to attend to Malachi. And Malachi was frozen. They said, Malachi is frozen. He didn't want to move. I'm serving Malachi, trying to get it together while y'all doing worship. Because Malachi couldn't move. Everybody was panicking in the back. All 5, 6 of them, they all bugging out. Pastor, pastor, pastor. I looked at Malachi. Malachi, we celebrate you next week. I need you to get it together because we're going to bless you. Malachi's eyes opened up. Malachi's form came together because he, oh, Shema. I said, Malachi, we celebrating you next week. I need you to get it because we got to be able to bless you next week. Well, why would God tell us to bless Malachi? You got to become something to win something. God showed me Malachi in the back just now. But some would say, why she ain't doing it for everybody else? Why she chose him? But he said, Paul said, though I work in the spiritual realm and you work in the natural realm, honor me spiritually because God knows what he's doing spiritually. Even though we may not speak the same language at times, but respect the authority had, God has given. So I said, I walked away from Malachi. I said, that's why you said to bless Malachi. I didn't understand why. But he just showed me. Understand, Pastor. We lose some time in life to win again because it's not really about us. It's really about somebody else. Everybody can't get that because it's all about them. They don't know how to lose because they always want to be winning. But they don't know how to lose, and Paul break it down to them. And he wrote them and he let them know, I've been living a losing life. But in the long run, I don't do it for my own authority. I do it so the gospel could be glorified. So God could be shown among the earth. I start talking that stuff to Malachi. Malachi started moving. See, you got to be back there to just see what we just experienced. Because he woke up. Because you literally did, Pastor, you spoke life. And he grabbed a hold of what he heard. And he believed it in his heart. That next week, we're just going to love on him. Not questioning why. Not saying it should have been my child. But like Paul said, what I do spiritually is what you not do naturally. Just obey what I say. And trust the God in me. And Paul understood what it is to lose and to win again. I hope this word was a blessing to someone today. Not only we preached it, but it was demonstrated. And I said, wow. How many people have you ever denied that God wanted to use you, but we was just so caught up in ourselves that we didn't see anything for anybody else? Half of you would never work for free. You've been in a job working, you would have called a cop on them. And then you would have tore their place down. And then you went online and put a bad report about them. Because you would have lost it. How sold out are you? Because in order to win sometime in life, you're going to have to lose. You have to go through some battles and some scars and some pains and some rejection. Be talked about and be criticized. But Paul stood on his purpose. Paul stood on what he knew. He asked him again the question. Not everybody willing to lose to win. Because losing is a servant that's willing to serve beyond their feelings and their emotions. And know the value of what serving is. I believe the Lord used a soldier in this to show an example. Paul said, I am a soldier. I'm enlisted in the army of the Lord. Your emotions is not my emotions. Your feelings is not my feelings. The way you want me to do it is not the way I'm going to do it. The way you want me to say it is not the way I'm going to say it. Though you work in the natural, Paul said, I work in the spiritual realm. And that is a totally different realm. And everybody's not enlisted in that realm because everybody can't handle that realm. Because some of us get our feelings caught up and we criticize and we dissect. Half of the time, we don't even know what we're doing. The Bible said, them that worship me in spirit and in truth. Some things is spiritual you should never touch. What is natural, and what is spiritual is spiritual. I may be talking to someone today online. You're in your winning season now. There's some times in life you're going to have to lose some things to win some things. You may have to lose